Hello, everyone. This morning we'll be doing a rollout of a document that quality, operations, and training have prepared for you. This is going to be, for call disposition to make sure that each and every one is streamlined and calibrated on how to do call dispositions. Right. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be sharing my screen and let's go through this. So it is established that all call dispositions that will be used are, of course, gives one the outcome of the call. Okay, so we make sure that when we dispose a call, it's correct so that we are able to get data accurately and see the lay of the land, and we'll be able to support you better and more effectively since our data is accurate. Also, they're helpful in knowing what resulted the last time you contact the account to prepare for the next time you call. Also, you must select a disposition after every call, as this will be a part of your scorecard. So it's important that you tag the call properly, okay, for you to be able to get your QA scores in line. Also, this has been the policy for the longest time. Make sure to log all your calls. Okay, so unlogged calls may cause conflict in recording successful calls. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the dispositions. Okay, number one, busy, call back later. Okay, so we use busy, call back later if and only if a DM, prospect, or contact in Salesforce inform you that he or she is busy and just call back later. Okay, so again, if it's a DM or a prospect in Salesforce, meaning the name that you've dedupe and sequence in Salesforce is the one that you've talked to, you've been able to establish right party contact, and he or she said that he is busy and that you just need to call back later, then you tag that as busy, call back later. Okay, next, number two. Number two is no pickup or if the right party contact is unavailable. Okay. Now, you use this when, number one, when the phone rings continuously and the person is not answering. So the phone just rings and rings and rings and no one answers, no one picks up, no pickup unavailable. Second, customer hangs up. And when you're speaking to someone and they hang up on you, okay, given the fact that you were not yet able to mention about keep trucking or your purpose of the call. So let's say, for example, you've called someone and said, hi, may I speak with Mike, please? Yes, this is Mike. Yeah, hi, Mike. This is, you know what? I told you to stop calling me. Bam, hang up. Okay. So clearly, in that scenario, SDR was not able to say keep trucking or mention the purpose of call, and that's no pickup, unavailable. Lastly, if the phone of the prospect just keeps on ringing until such time that it leads to the voicemail and you did not leave a voicemail, then you just tag it as no pickup, unavailable. Right. For the third one, when are we going to tag the call as not interested and don't call back? Okay. Now, so if the prospect stated that they are not interested with what we're offering, okay, so it gives you a clear answer, says we're not interested. Okay. Another is when customer hangs up after you've mentioned you're from Keep Trucking and or said the purpose of the call. Okay. So clearly, unlike here, no pickup unavailable, was not able to establish keep trucking and mention the purpose of the call. For here, not interested, don't call back. You've mentioned that you're ready. You've mentioned already that you're from keep trucking, and that you've already mentioned the purpose of the call. Okay, so if that's the case, if they hang up on you, then you tag it as not interested, don't call back. Okay, next. Also, if the SDR was able to mention keep trucking and or the purpose of the call, and then said, you know what, don't call me again, or please place me on your do not call list. Okay, so if those things are mentioned, if these things are mentioned after you've mentioned that you're from Keep Trucking and or the purpose of the call, then you put it as not interested, don't call back. So some of you might be able to relate with outbound collections, right? So if you're able to tell them that you're calling in to collect a debt and you've mentioned the name of the bank, and that's the time that it's considered as an RPC, hence you don't call them back. So it's the same thing right here. Okay, so if you're able to mention Keep Trucking and purpose the call, and they hang up on you or they say that they're not interested or do not call me back anymore, then that call should be tagged as not interested and don't call back. Good. Next, fourth one, follow-up answered questions. Okay, so for this one, this call tagging is used, or call disposition is used when you had to call back the prospect to gather or provide additional information. So let's say, for example, you've QNeared an account, okay, and you've successfully set the appointment. And then while doing so, and customer is no longer in the line, you've realized that, oh, I forgot to ask for the email address or confirm the email address of the customer. Of course, you're gonna ask permission to call the customer back from a TL, or you immediately call him back and then ask or confirm that information. Now, for the second call that you've done to get that information, then you tag it as a follow-up / answered questions. All right. Next. Well, guys, this is very trivial and self-explanatory. The moment that you leave a voicemail, make sure that you tag the call as left voicemail. I'm just going to keep it that short. I don't think that there should be debacle over this one. Again, voice message left voicemail. And I don't see any reason why we should tag it another way. Next, our favorite, qualified near. Well, I'm pretty sure you're experts of this one. If you're able to, fully qualify the customer and have him agree to the AE call, and at the same time, of course, you're able to set the appointment, then you tag it as qualified near. Next, so a couple of things to calibrate for a qualified mid. Number one is if they are required to have ELDs and refuse the appointment and no ELDs yet. Okay, so they refuse the appointment, they're mandated, and they don't have ELDs yet, then qualified mid. The likelihood of them purchasing very soon is very high, because if they're required and they don't have it yet, then we want to make sure that we follow up. Okay, qualified mid. Second, that they're required to have ELDs, okay, but the appointment that you're able to set is booked more than 7 calendar days. So these are for your QNears that are above the 7 calendar day window. So we don't tag it as a QNear yet. We tag it as a QMid and then just call back. And then once you're able to establish that as a QNear, then you tag the call as QNear and then the account status as well. Okay. Also, if you were able to encounter an account, whether unqualified, QMid, or QLong, and they've mentioned that, hey, you know what? You're already using your ELDs. Okay. They mentioned that they're already using Keep Trucking ELDs, then we tag that as a qualified mid. Let's discuss QLongs. QLongs, we're very familiar with this. Number one, they already have an ELD. Number two, required feature, right? Meaning the feature that they're looking for is not yet with Keep Trucking, ELDs. Canadian fleets that are not required to submit paper logs by the US government, because either they just they're just within Canada, or they don't travel to the US, or if they do travel to the US, doesn't meet the requirements. And lastly, calling a company where owner operators are giving the liberty to choose their own ELD provider. So let's say, for example, you called ABC company and you've spoken to the decision maker, and the decision maker says, you know what, I'm giving the owner operators the liberty or the discretion to use what ELD provider they want. Okay, so we tag that as a qualified loan. Okay, number 9, unfit. We're pretty much familiar with these. Again, just a soft reminder. Remember to ask to ask total number of vehicles whenever applicable. Okay, so first scenario is drives locally. You know this. Number 2, drive away to away services. 3, out of business or closed, filed for bankruptcy. Of course, everything falls under out of business. 4, not a trucking company. 5, doesn't meet weight limit. And 6, older vehicles, meaning older vehicles are 99 models and older. And lastly, number 10, we disclose the call as wrong number and number disconnected when, number 1, call got connected, but the person that you've reached says it's a wrong number, meaning the person that you're speaking with says, I'm sorry, it's a wrong number. Okay, number 1. Number 2, you were able to verify that it is not of the company, meaning, I'm sorry, but this is not ABC Incorporated. Okay, or I'm sorry, there's no one with that name and that's not the company. Okay, bottom line, wrong number, self-explanatory. And lastly, when you receive an error message after dialing the correct number. So if it rings and then the number you dialed is incorrect, or the number you dialed is out of service. Okay, so then you tag the call as wrong number and number disconnected. Okay, so we hope that this brings clarity, and everyone gets streamlined on how to properly do call dispositions going forward. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your support staff or any of the leadership team, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. Again, thank you very much for listening, attending to this session, and keep on grabbing those appointments. Have a good one.